Well, good evening, officers. It's been a fantastic beginning of the month, I would say. There's been a lot of news coming up by end of the month, previous month. A lot of discussions on, after the budget was presented, a lot of discussions on investments, financial planning, etc. So I have tried to keep it simple because those are very complex discussions which happen. But then to start with, we all understand that there is a requirement to manage one's own finances post retirement, because that is where you get bulk of the money, and we really do not understand, rather I would say most of us do not understand how to make maximum or best use, optimum use of it. I am Group Captain Manish Sharma. I am an MP registered mutual fund distributor and IRDA registered life insurance advisor. I work in the space of wealth management, having worked for almost 35 years in Indian Air Force as an accounts officer, where while budgeting and costing was my foray, the investment advice continued as choice, as a field of choice for me. Hope to make, by the time we finish this talk for today, I am sure there would be a lot of questions would get answered, a lot of confusions will get solved. So why, I've chosen the title as Investing Retirement Savings Strategically. Why it is important, we will know. But before we know further, I would like to quote from Warren Buffett, why I said strategically. That successful investing, he says, successful investing takes time, discipline, and patience. No matter how great the talent or effort, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in a month by getting 9 women pregnant. Why I quote Warren Buffett at the beginning of most of my talks is because I am highly influenced with his style of investing or whatever advices which he is given. And I find people who follow him have done good as far as their financial journey is concerned. Before I proceed further, I will just tell you what all this talk is going to cover. We would try and understand in a bit about what are the retirement needs, and we need to assess the current financial situations and how do we do it, and how do we set the future goals. Setting up or creating a retirement plan or investment strategy would be by the next step, and what are the methodologies one should adopt. What are the factors, general factors, which influence income level? Of course, it can vary from person to person. Diversification and risk management, very important tool. Everybody must understand that. Some essential safeguards and some common mistakes and some practical tips at the end of the talk. So before we move further, let's understand. We all, in fact, know what are two types of income which we have. One is an active income, an income for which we are working full time, whether it is a job or a business or anything. And second is a passive income. I call it wherein we deploy somebody. That somebody is money for me. So you have some rental income, you have some investment income. That is a passive income. So why it is important to plan your retirement benefits is because now the active income is gone. Once you're retiring, your active income goes, or it reduces to almost half in most of the cases. So in that scenario, just have a look at it. You are in a job, you're getting regular salary, then you retire. When you retire, what you do, you collect funds. Now you need to estimate expenses. This is one place I would like to tell you. While we are transitioning into retirement, we tend to ignore this aspect, that how much are we going to spend. We all talk about income. But expenditure side, generally, it is not known, or it is not calculated properly. So once you estimate your expenses, you quantify your required returns as to how much you need to generate, and then accordingly you plan to invest. So these are the preparations before you start planning your thinking of investing of the money corpus which is available. Now, why I say this is, if you do not plan, if you do not follow the previous step, there's a saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish. There's no, you cannot reach the target if you have no plans. Who can understand better than a 4G? So retirement planning is basically nothing but to take some essential step to keep your financial goals on track. So when we say we plan, so how do we plan? So to plan, we must seek answers to some of the questions, and the basic questions are: one is age related question, as it when am I going to start? Am I starting early? What is my expected life age, dependence life or dependence age? How much time do I have to plan and execute my plan? Okay, that those are the age related questions. That is, if somebody is starting at say age of 24, 25, and the retirement I have taken as a 60 years of age as a retirement, because that's a working age which is decided or which is generally accepted in India. Okay. So if somebody is starting say around 25 years age or 20 or 30 years of age, he's got say 30 or 20, 30, 35 years to plan. Somebody who's starting at 40, he's got just 20 years to plan. Somebody who's starting at 50, he's got that much less to plan. So that is where the age related questions do come, and there would be different strategies for different age group of people. Then is the asset related question. Some of us have already have a lot of assets. Some of us have less assets. So how much do I already have? Okay, if I have already have some 5,000 crores with me, do I need to plan for a minute thing about my retirement planning or retirement expenses? May not be. Or maybe if my requirements are huge, then probably even for that 5,000 CR also I need to plan. But if somebody who's got less, say 1.5 crores, 2 crores available, and he's also need to plan his expenses because he has to now survive with that income or with that fund for rest of the retired life. The expenditure related question, as I said earlier, the expenditure related questions also need to be answered as to what is my regular expenditure today. How much will it increase or reduce post retirement? Are there any regular financial commitments available for me to undertake, or anything which is a timeline based expenditure? Maybe 5 years hence, 10 years hence, there's an expenditure which I foresee. Are my medical expenditures taken care of? Are there any contingencies? Something may happen, something may need your immediate financial support. Maybe somebody in the family, neighbors, your car may need to go for a change, etc. Whatever, those also need to be answered. Then we need to work out your cash flow as to what income would you generate from your investments, or you are getting pension, so how much will come as a pension? What will be the contingencies fund? Whether do I keep it for 3 months contingency, 6 months contingency? Am I planning to work for the second income, or I want to enjoy my life and only let my investment give me that support for the second income? Once you have all these questions answered, the last question which you need to think about is, how much should I invest? So whatever be the amount, how much you need to invest for catering for all these criterias: your expenditure related, your contingencies related, your medical needs related, your cash flow related, etc. So once you are able to answer these questions, that is the time you have to look as how do I approach. So for anybody who's at an early age or at an advanced age, the first step is first you check where you stand. Now, where you stand, once you are clear, then you have to look at this, that whenever, I call it, jab jago tab savera. If somebody who's sending this webinar at the age of 40, 45, 50, it's not that it's late for him and he can't do anything about it. Probably the strategy would be different. That's about all. So I always say start early as possible. If not, then start as and when you realize that yes, there's a requirement to build the corpus for retirement. Try to automate savings. It gives a lot of traction, a lot of advantages, because there's a human tendency wherein we actually relate or we consider savings or investments as expenditure. We never think that we are doing it for future. We think that it is going out of today's resources available to me. There are people who feel very happy about keeping an amount in the fixed deposit than to put it in mutual fund, because there's a thought process that when you put it in the mutual fund, it may go. But then least realizing that when you put it in the fixed deposit, it is in any case going. But then there's a requirement of an optimum mix, whether you want to put it in an equity based mutual fund or direct equity or debt, real estate, commodities, insurance, whatever. There has to be a proper mix, a judicious mix. Once you clear, that's the time you have to draw a plan as to what steps would you take to achieve your goals. When will you review? How much addition will happen? Some increments, some promotions will get you some additional funds. How are you going to use those funds? Once you draw a plan, it gives you, easy and fast report. Every time you have to just take it out and see, okay, this is what I need to do. Just carry on doing it. The regular reviews are required. It is not that you make a plan and then just start dumping it. You need to revise it. I suggest one needs to take a professional advice here, because a professional can guide you whether the plan is correct or not correct. And then risk management has to be taken care of with reference to whatever term plan, health plan, insurance plans, etc. Now, I told you the different age group with different strategies. So, to be able to comfortably retire at the age of 60, I always say, I mean, there can be a variation in the mix, but the general standard thought process is that if you're starting in your 20s, around 15 to 20% of your annual income must be invested. How? 80% go for the equity based investment, and 20% can be fixed income based investments. If somebody is in 30s, the investment will be around 25 to 30% of annual income, which will be a ratio of 70 to 30. In 40s, it should be around 40%, 35 to 40% in 60-40 ratio. And somebody who's starting in 50s, it'll be around 50% of annual income needs to be invested for 50-50 ratio, that is equity and fixed income. This is for those who are still serving. Those who have retired and got the bulk of the money, or who are planning to invest the bulk of the money, this strategy is not for them, because for them there's a different set of rule which works. The basic priorities of a retired person, in fact, why a retired person, anybody, would be that whatever the retired corpus or whatever is the total amount which I have, it should be able to generate income for me. It should remain protected, and it should also grow. That's the basic priorities. So this priority, if you actually, I mean, I have put it in 3 different categories. One is somebody who has got a small retirement corpus. The small, moderate, or bigger corpus will vary from on individual's income level, is future requirements, expenses, regular expenses, future requirements. So if it is a small, that is again from individual to individual, it varies. There's no ballpark figure. Is I say that 50 lakh is a small and 1 CR is bigger. So, but then if what I mean is that if somebody has got an X amount, and the expected return from that X amount is only able to cater for the income generation goal, so we consider it as a small figure and a small retirement corpus. Put the entire corpus for the purpose of income generation, so that your monthly requirements are taken care of. There's no point looking for corpus growth where your present income is not being able to looked after. Somebody who's got a moderate retirement corpus, same logic, 75% probably can take care of the income generation requirements. So 25% goes into the corpus protection mode, wherein we ensure that whatever the corpus is there, that remains safe by way of maybe low income category funds. You put it in the government, etc., etc. And somebody who's got a big size retirement corpus, again, depending on what is the requirement and what are the future needs, generally follow it as a 50, 40, and 10% ratio, wherein the growth 10% of the fund deployed in the growth option takes care of the growth need of the individual. Having said that, we will just have a look at, we need to decide what is the right asset class. We talk about gold, silver, bank deposits, the company deposits, their share market. There are many more, but these are ones which I generally bring it out. They are streamlined data which can be actually understood and deciphered. And certainly, out of all this, the inflation is one which one needs to understand, because your return from all your government treasuries are related to this inflation figure. So if you actually see, this is the asset class comparison which I have done is from April 86 onwards. The inflation has, as per RBI, has grown at the constant rate of, at the average rate of 6.5%. The gold has grown around 8.63%. Around 8% is the silver. Bank deposits, around 9% is the company deposit. Of course, company deposit did come much later. It was not there in 86. Debentures were there, but not the fixed deposit company. I think it came around 94, 95. The share market has given you a return of around 15%. This is from 86 to 24, 2024. But if you actually see the real return, real gain after adjusting for inflation, the gold is around 2%, silver is 1.5%, bank deposits and company deposits are around 2 and 3% respectively, and around 8% is your the equity market. So if we actually see, the equity market has performed, comparing to all other investment class, equity market has performed much better. It's seen a lot of ups and downs. This is an average figure of last so many years, almost 30 years or so, 40 years. Now, this is as on March, I think. Yeah, it's as on March. The inflation, if you see, 1,000 rupees has been inflated to 12,710 rupees as per the previous 6.5 compounded CAGR return. And the share market has gone to around 75,000. It was, I think, on 31st March, some date, I don't remember. But then the 75,000 was the share market then. We all know it has gone up and down, and it will keep happening that way. So, this is where I taken the yesterday's figure. So, in 1979, we should know that the Sensex, the BSE Sensex, started in somewhere, I think, 81 or so, with a base figure of 100 of 1979. So it has gone from 1979 to yesterday it was 79,650. We already know it has already crossed 80,000. So 1 lakh rupees invested there at the rate of around 16% CAGR works out to be 7.96 crore. So, previous figures and these figures, if you try to compare, you will know that the share market appears to be the right asset class as far as the investments are concerned. I generally like to show this is because this is a actual incident which happened with me in 2004, January 3rd, 2004. The Sensex crossed 6,000. That was the first time, and there were a lot of ho-halla about that market condition. And those who knew that I have a lot of interest in this market, so they all came, and those the newspaper gyan which people get, and they said, Manish, now the market is over 6,000, so everything will go now down. So you are advising people to invest. I'm telling you, this will not happen. Another coursemate of mine who was emphatic about it. And I said, fine, so it will go down, it will come up. He said, no, it will not come up. This is happening, America, this, that. A lot of stories were there. The fact of the matter is the market did go down. I won't say that it continued from 6,000 up. I think it went up till 8,000 and then came down to some 4,000. And the journey happened. But then this slide I prepared, I did correct it as on the date yesterday, but it so happened that January 4th, 2024, that is 20 years later, this year, 4th January, the Sensex had touched 72,000. So that's the time I was looking for those guys, and I want to tell them, I said, if somebody had a thought that market would never grow up further, it had actually grown 12 times. So around 14%. This is a different, now here I'm showing is from 2004 to 2024. This 20 years also around 14% is what you gain, wherein gold is around 10% and silver is around 8%. So why I'm saying all this is, okay, now there's one category of investors, of course, Vipul would take on it in details. One category of investors who talk about investments in real estate, I don't say investment in real estate is bad, but the problem is there's no data available for investment in real estate, and there are a lot of factors which affect the real estate investment. The location is one, the type of property is another one, the local market condition is another area, and there are a lot of so many factors. But I have just tried to put it, I have to work it out in a percentage term, because these data are not available. It's not feasible because Delhi data would differ from Mumbai data, from and that will differ from Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, everywhere it will be a local effect. So, but as a ballpark figure, generally in a commercial real estate, the rentals are around 7 to 9% if you get are okay. Residential returns are around 2 to 4%. Some place may be high, some place may even be low. And principal appreciations, except for various pockets which have the surge on periodic basis, it's around 5 to 10%, and is what you get principal appreciation for commercial space, and those are annual figures, right? And 2 to 7% would be for the residential space. Rest, I think I would here, because you will have a in details talk about real estate for Vipul. So having said all that, is I always say that whatever you do, you must do is single on to it, सोच कर समझ कर invest कर, so that you have to take care of. ध्यान रखना है इसमें. So coming on to why do we actually look for investments? One is cater for expenses. बच्चों का शादी है, education का expenditure है. As the years go by, I mean, if you have 2 children, one child education would be an X amount and another one maybe X plus Y. We need to go for good vehicles. Nowadays, the mobile phones are also 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees. Holidays, etc., etc. So I always say that your investments are two-pronged. One is for the wealth creation. You want to have a lot of wealth available with you. Yes, why not? And second is regular income. One needs to have regular income. So now to cater for all those things, I always say, I mean, when I put all those my previous slides into one slide, I again support this slogan that mutual fund sahi hai, because it gives you a mix of everything. It gives you a lot of returns. I will come to it later.